Hello. We are going to start this episode talking about domestic violence. This episode will be different from any other episode. This episode will be a single host episode, as we'll just kind of dive in. Dear her, I see you. I see the strength it takes to smile when you're crumbling inside. I see the weight you carry in silence, the way your voice trembles when you say, I'm fine. And I want you to know you're not invisible. Welcome back to Keys Code Love Unlocked. Today's episode might feel heavy, but it's definitely necessary. We're talking about domestic violence, the truth behind it, the patterns, the people, what keeps you stuck, and most importantly, the path to freedom. This episode is dedicated to Riley Jones and every single soul who has endured domestic violence. Those still fighting, those who have found freedom, and those whose lives were stolen way too soon. We speak your names, we carry your stories. Before we get started, there is a trigger warning. This episode contains real raw conversations about abuse, emotional, physical, and psychological. Take care of your heart while listening. Pause if you need to. Skip parts if you feel it's too heavy. Your safety and your mental health comes first. Again, welcome back to Keys Code Love Unlocked. We want to start with our disclaimer. We'll go ahead and read our disclaimer, and then we'll jump right into this. Here on Love Unlocked, Keys Code Love Unlocked, where we speak from the heart, not the handbook. This podcast is strictly for entertainment purposes only. All the tea, truths, and tough love shared here are based on personal opinions and real life experiences. Our guests, fabulous, not licensed professionals. So don't take our word as therapy. Take them as girl talk, grown talk, and good vibes. If you need real help, be sure to lock in with a certified expert. We're here to unlock love, not diagnose it. So with that being said, let's jump right on into our episode tonight. Domestic violence. What exactly is domestic violence? When we hear the word domestic violence, most people think about physical abuse, showing up with bruises, black eyes, but it's not always visible. Domestic violence is described as a pattern of abusive behavior in a relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate person. But domestic violence can also be emotional, it can be financial, it can be sexual, and even spiritual. It's about one person using power to control someone else, whether it's through fear, manipulation, or even physical harm. It can look like being isolated from your family. So, you get in those situations where you have somebody who wants to, love on you and, oh, you don't need to go over there, or, they just want to keep you to themselves. And while it may seem like, oh, he loved me or she loved me, it's kind of leading up to, what could be inevitable. It is a form of domestic violence. Also, when people are controlling as far as like your money, how you spend your money, how you spend your time, those things, that's a form of domestic violence as well. Continuously criticizing you, humiliating you, especially in front of other people. Those are also signs of domestic violence, threats, intimidation, just all of those things. These are all signs of domestic violence. And the one that most people oftentimes skip is the love bombing. when they shower you with all of these compliments and all of these gifts and all of these things to make you feel like they love you so much, and then they turn around and tear you down immediately afterwards or down the line afterwards. That is a form of domestic violence. Even though it's not physical, it's still domestic violence. So I just wanted to share a statistic that I researched, and it shows that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men will always experience severe intimate partner violence in their lifetime. So 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience some type of domestic violence. So it's always the question, why do we stay? Or why did they stay? Why she ain't leave? It's not always that easy to leave. From the outside looking in, it looks so easy to just be like, I would never do that. Or why she ain't leave, or why he ain't leave, why would you stay, and all of those things. But it's a million reasons why people stay in domestic violence situations. Like, first of all, to just be afraid that somebody might find out. Your abuser may find out that you're planning to leave. That can be very dangerous if not done, in a way that can be protective. So sometimes people stay because of financial reasons. They have no money. You don't know how to navigate on your own without the support of your abuser, your person, or whoever you're dealing with. So you stay because you don't have the money to start over. Sometimes you stay because of the kids. And I always used to think, like, why would you stay with somebody for the sake of the kids? But oftentimes we want that family life. We want to keep our kids in a house with, most of the time, it's their dad. And because a lot of times the person that's abusing you are sometimes really good to their kids, because being a bad husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend doesn't necessarily make you a bad mother or father. So we see those relationships with the kids and we're like, oh, I see how he loves her, or I see how he's active with the kids. So we stay because of that, hoping that it gets better. And sometimes that's simply all it is. It's hope. We stay for hope. We stay because we're hoping that it gets better. Like, it was so good in the beginning, or, I can't wait for it to get back to what it used to be, or, things like that. It's just like, I always say, love alone is not enough. And sometimes hope is not a good enough reason to stay, but it's a valid reason why women stay or why men stay. We stay because we hope that the person we're with gets to get together. They figure it out. They stop doing it. They see where we once were and we get back to that. You stay for hope that the good moments come back. And it's not always, it's not always the case. But then you also have the trauma bonds, and people don't seem to realize how strong trauma bonds are. It's so intense to be able to bond with someone based off of a trauma that you two share. It creates a psychological tie that kind of holds you guys together. It's hard to break when you're tied to someone based off of the traumas. So it's like when those traumas are done, or you're done healing from the trauma, what's really left? There's nothing really left once the trauma is gone. And if there is no healing from the trauma, then that's all you have. So leaving is not always just walking out the door. It's like being in a cage and you just cannot get free. We got some comments I want to go and look at. We got our beautiful Love and Akila in our audience. I just want to say, hey, ladies. We are talking about domestic violence tonight, and you're more than welcome to chime in. This is a hard subject for me to talk about, just because it's not always easy to talk about things like that, especially when you have so many people who struggle from domestic violence, and it ends in really bad situations, in death, and abuse and psychological abuse and things like that. So It's a subject that I kind of struggle with. I'm not gonna lie. I've wanted to touch on it, and I kind of stayed away from it, just because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm not a licensed specialist. Everything that I am saying is based off of my own research and just my own personal opinions. So please don't hold me to any. I'm not giving any professional advice or anything like that. Just my own observations. Um, I am glad that you survived that. Love is. I know that those are hard times. I was also in a situation that became abusive, and I too am a survivor of that. So um, it's always good to see people come out of that. Um, let's jump back into this. Let's talk about some of the red flags. Um, like I said, abuse, it starts small. At first, it might just look like they love me so much, like a intense love connection or a lot of attention and passion. But then it shifts. It shifts to love bombing. And for those who don't really know what love bombing, I keep saying the word love bombing, but love bombing is to actually shower you with gifts, attention, and affection way too soon. You know, then you also have jealousy. Jealousy disguised as love is getting mad when you're talking to somebody or checking your phone, where you at? Every time you turn around, where you at? What you doing? Who you with? It's jealousy. It might sound like, oh, he loved me so much, he loved me so much, but no, it's not love. It's jealousy, and it's a red flag. Is what it is. Like I said, it's isolation, slowly pulling you away from your friends, slowly pulling you away from your family, making you think that they're all you need. You don't need them. You got me. It's me and you. I'm your best friend. I'm your man. I'm your everything. It is healthy to have outside relationships outside of your person. Yes, your person will become your best friend, but that does not take the place of having outside friends, having family that you associate yourself with and you deal with. Like, you don't want to become isolated in somebody's world, in somebody's bubble. That is a red flag for domestic violence. You have control where they want to decide what you put on, where you go, how you spend your money, what anything that you got going on. It's like they feel like they have to control the narrative, the outcome, or how it's being done. Gaslighting, making you doubt your memory, making you feel like you're crazy when you know what you saw, you know what you think, you know what you feel, but they make you feel like what you see, what you think, what you feel, it's all like wrong. That is gaslighting, and it's also a red flag, guys. When you're walking on eggshells, you just never know what mood they'll be in. So you're always nervous. You're always trying to figure out, what to say or how to move, or, what's going to happen if he's in a bad mood today, or what not to say to piss him off. Like, those are not good things to endure while being in a relationship with anybody. And if you feel like any of these resonate with you, or you feel like these are some signs that you've seen or you've experienced, listen to your intuition, guys. Listen to that inner voice inside of you that's telling you this isn't right. Get out, or you don't deserve to go through this. It's real. Like, listen to that voice inside of yourself. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to just walk away, but when you start to see the red flags, it's easier to walk away in the beginning, um, before you get time and love and everything invested. Um, so we have some comments. The signs usually start small and then escalate once you're invested. Sometimes you don't even notice until it's fully in your face. Exactly. We kind of ignore those signs when they're small, because they're often mistaken as love, passion, affection. It's all it's misinterpreted as those things when it's really the red flags that leads to the big booms. Sometimes it's not even often. Things can be rainbows and cookies and then boom, a blow up. I agree. I think that's part of the love bombing. And when it's all good, it's kind of like they're preparing you for the big boom, but disguising it as love, disguising it as affection and things like that. So I have a story from someone that was sent to me. I am not going to say any names or anything like that. It is going to remain anonymous. I just wanted to share. It's a small little, experience that someone had. And I don't want to say little because nothing about this is little. But it is a reflection story. It says, I used to count the footsteps. I could tell how bad the night would be by how his keys would hit the counter. I stayed because I thought if I just loved him harder, he would change. I stayed because I was scared to start over. And then one day I realized that it wasn't me being afraid of staying more than I was afraid of leaving. The day I walked out, I never looked back. You never forget the moment you decide to deserve better, and you haven't had the moment yet. So maybe today can be the start. So this person was saying that she was scared, not really of leaving, of staying, but she was more scared of leaving, because leaving is starting over. Like, especially if you're with someone who's taking care of you or have um put you in a position where you didn't have to, worry so much about finances or things like that. Leaving means doing all of this on your own with the fear of what's going to happen if he finds out. So sometimes it is a fear of leaving that's greater than the fear of staying, because it's almost like I've endured this. I know how to deal with his triggers. I know, if he says this and I'll say that, or I'll just stay away and just kind of, duck and dodge, or like walk on eggshells. But it's not ideal, you know. So if you're listening right now and you're in a dangerous situation, know this. It's not your fault. You are not alone, and there are people who can help. I found some um, resources that you can reach out to. The National Domestic Violence Hotline. The phone number there is 1-800-799-SAFE, or you can text the word START to 88788. You can find a safe space, one of your friends' houses, the women's domestic violence shelters. Hell, even if you got to sleep in your car, like sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to kind of get away from a situation. And in those cases, you want to document everything, like any messages that you have, any bruises, anything that's taking place. You want to document it because you may need them later. I don't like to kind of jump around. And like I said, this topic is very heavy. I remember the young lady, damn, I cannot remember her name. She was a Cleveland hairstylist, Amanda, a Cleveland hairstylist. From everybody that I've ever talked to, always said she was a really nice girl. She was driven. She was, she did hair in the community. Everybody loved her. She had such a big outpour of love and support after her passing, which also was due to domestic violence. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this man is about to get away with this shit. Like, he's going to get off because he used self-defense as a defense in his trial. And he tried to say, like, she came at him. But fortunately for her memory and for her family, her daughters and her family was able to uncover documentation that she had. She was fearful in situations. They were able to produce text messages, and everything that he said, they were able to produce proof that that was not the case. So he was convicted, y'all. He was convicted, and I believe he got life in prison for the killing of Amanda, which is so good because had she not had that proof, had she not been documenting that stuff, he could have used self-defense and got away with murdering her, you know. So it's like you definitely want to document what's going on, even if it means just doing it in private, you know, and you want to like just let somebody know in the event that something, you know, this is what I have. This is, you know, where anything is. You want someone, if it's just one person, to know how to access your personal belongings. You know, even if you have to, you know, deal with if your loved ones are dealing with it in the event that something happens. You know, you just want to have everything you need. The goal is to leave, to get out of those situations, but I know that that's not always the case. You can't always just walk away from those things. It takes time. I do understand that. So I think it is like essential to be able to make a safety plan. You know, pack a bag, put it in your car, or take it to a friend's house, something just like have an escape plan in place, a safety plan, an escape plan, something. And then just after leaving, remember that healing is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. Just because you leave today does not mean you're going to be okay tomorrow. You know, it's a journey. You have to endure the next steps. And sometimes the next step is missing that person, but you just want to kind of be strong enough to know that that's normal. And just because you miss them don't mean that you have to go back. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to deal with that, ways to handle that. You have therapy. You know, some people do journaling where they're writing down their thoughts, their feelings, and everything like that, and, you know, reading it later. Burn parties where you're burning memories, or, you know, I've seen like the breaking of the plates where you write everything down and you release it in the water, or you write it on a plate and you break it. There's all types of support systems in place to help you to rebuild. So um, I just think that everyone should know that your life is worth surviving. You know, you're worthy of a life that does not require having to walk on eggshells, having to look over your shoulder, having to be nervous of what's to come, you know. So this episode is more of like a informational, like I said, it's just me kind of giving my take on domestic violence and what I gather from it, my thoughts, my opinions. So it's not going to be a full hour. I just don't have that to give for a whole hour. I don't have that type of information. Like I said, I'm not a licensed specialist, so everything is based solely on my personal experience and my opinions. But I did write down some affirmations that I wanted to share with everyone. There's 4 different ones, and I just if you want it, you can repeat after me. You can write them down, say them to yourself later. Um, I deserve a love that does not hurt. My safety and peace are non-negotiable. I release the shame that was never mine to carry, and I am not alone. I am reclaiming my power. I want you to carry these words with you, whisper them to yourself until they become your truth. Like, you know, you may not believe these words today, but just keep telling yourself these things until you start to believe it, until they become your truth and what's happening, and you know what you're feeling. um this episode, like I said, is dedicated to um Riley Jones and every other survivor. every other person dealing with domestic violence, every person that is trying to survive with domestic violence. Um, Seeing this young girl, she was only 20, 22 years old, and to know that like her boyfriend killed her in the middle of the day, downtown Bedford, y'all, like downtown Bedford in the middle of the day at a freaking AutoZone, and it was nothing. He shot her in the parking lot because they were arguing prior to getting there, and that argument escalated into what we don't even know what it started. But he shot her over an argument that I'm sure could have been resolved. And then he went into the store and told them to call 911 and like hid the gun and ran away, only to be found a couple streets over. So it's like he wasn't even, it was like it was nothing. You know, he didn't put up a fight, which is good, but at the same time, it's like her life meant more than to just shoot her in cold blood in the middle of a parking lot and then to just leave her there. You know, um, it's like everybody wants to prove something. I don't know. It's more like I got a gun, I'm tough, and you know that's just what it is. I see younger people in relationships, and it's like they're so aggressive and so just like thinking they have to prove something to the OGs, not realizing that that ain't part of the, that's not part of it. You know, you don't have to abuse your woman to look cool. Like nothing about that is cool. Yelling and women, I'm in a space now where I do not allow a man to yell at me. I do not sit around and interact with men that are overly aggressive or angry all the time. It's not something that me personally I'm willing to deal with. That has become a deal breaker for me. So I believe that you have to learn yourself. You have to get to a place of loving yourself, even if it means standing alone and creating your boundaries, creating your deal breakers, the things that you will absolutely not deal with, and stand on it. You know, if yelling is a deal breaker, the minute he starts to yell, walk away. You know, especially if you can't have a conversation to become aware. Like, this is, I don't like this, and, you know, it's a trigger, or I just don't like it, so don't do it. And if they continue, the very next time, it's bye. You know, I'm not dealing with this. I don't want to endure anything that could lead to a place of abuse. Um, we got another comment. People need healing, women and men. We carry trauma, and so many people don't even understand it or think it's normal. It follows us from childhood into adulthood. I agree. Um, and that's where those trauma bonds come into place. Like, um, not being able to heal from past traumas, dealing with any other relationship. You know, you may have saw your parents go through this and you think it's okay. You may have dealt with this in a past relationship and it looks like love, or it felt like what you think love is. So you think that it's normal and it's okay. And baby girl, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not normal. That saying love is kind, it doesn't hurt. Um, yes, it's not always going to be easy, but it's not painful. It doesn't make you feel less than. Like, that's not it. You know, so sometimes you do have to be able to gain peace and clarity within yourself, and do the work. You have to do the work to heal from anything that's causing you um, confusion, or thinking, you know, that this is love. Sometimes we don't know what love is supposed to look like. And for that, I think it's research. We just jump into these relationships thinking like, oh, I love him or he loves me, not really realizing what exactly that looks like, or is supposed to look like, or what it really means to be in love. So we endure things that don't always look good or feel good towards the end, because a lot of times I think it's time. You were with somebody and you're like, oh, I've been with him for 5 years, so I'm not leaving. Time and hope, you know. I'm not leaving him because I've spent 5 years with him, and I'm not wasting my time, or I'm not letting another woman reap the benefits. There's no benefit there, sis. Ain't no benefit. And if she can reap a benefit from that, let her. The only benefit you need to be reaping is the one that protects your peace, protects your space, and protects your spirit. The one that allows you to shine in your own light. You don't want to feel like you have to be less than anything just to be able to be in the presence of anybody, whether it's a man or woman, because domestic violence is not just your boyfriend or your girlfriend. It's any intimate relationship. So it can be with a family member. It can be any of those things. It's domestic. So I don't want to just make you think that it's just interacting with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and that go left, because it becomes a domestic violence situation even when it's your mother or your father or your brother, your sister. It's domestic when it creates the intense behaviors, or any abusive behavior or pattern that suggests control or power. So you want to get away from those relationships as well. You don't want to stay in I'm not staying in any relationship that does not bring out the best in me, that's not going to allow me to be the better version of myself. I don't want to walk on eggshells around you. I don't want to feel like I can't talk to you about anything, or you're going to be triggered, or you just don't want to endure those type of relationships with anybody. um, the first time that a person put their hands on you, 9 times out of 10, it won't be the last. So if you're in a position where you've endured physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, spiritual, financial abuse, and you're able to walk away, walk away. And if you're not able to walk away immediately, start putting a plan in place. Put a plan together so that you're able to get out of this situation as unharmed as possible. You know, reach out to those resources. They're in place for a reason. Reach out to those resources to help you to put that plan in place, to help you execute that plan. Reach out to a friend who you can trust, who got your back. You want to do whatever is necessary so that you're able to escape from that. And once you're gone, stay gone. Don't go back, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to change. They're going to love bomb you into thinking that they're better. Oh, I can't do this without you. I miss you. I love you. I'm going to be better for you. And then as soon as you come back, then they're right back doing the same thing that they was doing before, except this time now they're watching you closer, or now it's worse because they know at some point you have the strength to walk away from them. So you want to find that escape plan. And once you're gone, stay gone. Do not allow them to bring you back into this space with a bunch of hope and I'm going to. If they were going to, they would have done so when you were there. It doesn't take for you to leave for them to get it together. So if you actually have the courage and the resources and the power to leave, stay gone. You deserve to find a love that's going to love you in a way that does not hurt you at all. We have a comment. Time in history was a huge factor for me. I felt wasting my time was worse than moving on, but continuing to waste time is mentally exhausting. My mental peace is more important. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it comes down to a lot of times for a lot of women is time. I've been with this person for so long. I've dealt with this for so long. I know how they act. I know how he is. Oh, if I do this, he'll do that. It'll be better tomorrow. Or yeah, he slapped me, but girl, I got a new car today. Like he came and brought me all of this stuff. He bought me a new bag. Baby, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because you can save up for that same new car. You can save up for that same new bag. And guess what? You can look good while enjoying it. You can go out with your friends and enjoy it. You don't have to be by yourself to have those things or to go through any type of abuse in order to obtain those things. It feels good to have nice things, yes, but it feels even better when you're able to get those things and you're able to be in a space of peace and bliss. Like it's just something completely different. So don't stay for history, don't stay for gifts. Hell, don't stay for the hope that they're going to do better. Sometimes people are conditioned to behave based off of what they endured as kids or what they watched their parents do. Sometimes men watch their dads beat up on their mothers, so they think that's how that's supposed to go. Or women see their moms endure abuse, so they feel like that's what love looks like. Love is supposed to be getting slapped around. If he doesn't love me, then he would put his hands on me. He does those things because he loves me. Being jealous is love. It's not. It is not. You don't have to be in a space with someone and feel like being jealous is a way to show love. It's not. And in almost all of these situations, it ends the same exact way. It ends in loss, you know, and more than just the loss of the person enduring the pain, the families experience a loss, losing the person that's close to them, losing a loved one from domestic violence. It's a whole nother level of hurt because it's like, why couldn't I save her? Or what could I've done differently? When it's not necessarily anything that you could do. Like we can say whatever we want to say, but until a person is ready to walk away, they're not going to walk away. So for the people that's going through it, just know that you're worth walking away. You are worth walking away from these abusive situations. You are worth being in a state of peace. You are worth being loved correctly. And to the people who are enduring the pain from an outside, know that it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. My suggestion to you is just to continue to be supportive of whoever it is that's enduring this. Support them any way that you can. Let them know that they are loved. Let them know that they are worth, you know, having the peace that comes with walking away. Let them know that you have their back, whatever that looks like. We don't want to get into that space of, why didn't you this, or making a person feel less than because they're already feeling like that. So I just say be supportive. You just never know what this looks like or what this feels like for the person that's actually going through it. It's hard for us on the outside looking in, so imagine just how hard it is for the person actually going through it. With that being said, I don't want to drag this on and on and on. So I'm going to end this here. I just want to say to everybody watching, thank you for watching this episode. I don't know if it touched anybody or, if it resonated, but if it did, then that I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone for watching it. If it resonated, or if you know someone who may be going through it, send it to them. I'm just here to try to shed some light on a really bad situation. Like I said, this episode is dedicated to Riley Jones, specifically Amanda. Those who have lost their lives to domestic violence, also to the ones who have survived domestic violence. I want to dedicate this episode to you as well. To anyone enduring domestic violence, if you're still going through it, you can make it out of this. Just stay strong, put your plan in place, utilize your resources, and get out. So this episode is dedicated to all of those who has endured domestic violence, who's going through domestic violence, who survived domestic violence, and to those who have actually lost their lives due to domestic violence. Until next time, love yourself enough to choose peace. And we're going to go ahead and end it there. I had one last comment I wanted to show, and then we're going to go ahead and head out. You never know how far it can go. None of it is worth your peace, body, mind, spirit, or life. I absolutely agree, Akila, and I believe that is a perfect um, caption to go ahead and end this episode. You just never know how far it can go. So always choose you. Always choose your peace. Always choose your life. Like I said, utilize your resources. Get out. I am going to put the resources on the caption below, but just in case you missed it, there are domestic violence hotlines that you can reach out to. I'm trying to find the phone number again. The phone number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE, or you can text the word START to 88788. So if you or anyone you know is going through that, please, please, please reach out. Reach out to someone, secure your safety plan, and just get out. Until next time, I'll see you next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Again, choose you. Choose your peace. Bye.